Have you got a feel for? I mean, I would imagine you probably know to the dot and the comma. How many people come into the site, and what percentage you need to? What number of people you need to get into the site, and what percentage conversion rate you've got in order to yield the sort of sales that you need to sustain the business?
Well, we're working on about 40% conversion rate at the minute, which I know is extremely high for our industry. But to achieve that, we've really targeted the Google AdWords that we're using. In the early days when we started off, you know, advertised £30 a day, £50 a day, and it was really scary to see all the money flying out and not much sales. So in them early days, for us, it was really important to get an expert involved to help us guide us on how it works, and I think that's extremely important when you're first starting off. But gradually we built up the keywords, we increased the landing page, improved it. So it's reducing the number of barriers that it takes for someone to get what they're looking for, and that's dramatically increased. I mean, we're spending on average 7 to 10 grand a month on Google advertising, so we'll probably align for a pay rise at some point, I guess, Derek. But we get it. The important thing about that is we get a 244% return on investment from that, what we spend. But in the early days, it wasn't like that, so it's important to get an expert on board.
Actually, with pay-per-click, the sky can be the limit. I was talking early this week to the owner of onthebeach.com, and all of their marketing is online, and they invest over £1 million a month on pay-per-click, and they've returned 60 million in sales last year. So the kind of ratio, you know, if your business isn't a purely online business, it just then becomes a question of how much do you want to make, and then you invest the level, you know, for 12 million you can return 60 million. I mean, it's just kind of mind-boggling. And I mean, they could decide to invest 24 million and return 120 million. It's just how far do you want to go? It does work that way.
I will say that, you know, we hear more actually bad stories about pay-per-click in terms of, you know, money being wasted and that type of things. But generally it's because of poor planning and, you know, and actually no particular expectations. So people just give it a go because it's available, it's easy to set up, and it's a bit of a gadget. But, you know, they then, you know, give up very quickly. But, you know, we usually get contacted because people have blown thousands of pounds. And, you know, when you go back to the story of how they started, it was just, you know, unplanned, uncoordinated, and we just, you know, give it a go. And someone forgot to switch it off and walked away from the lot as well.
And you pay somebody to do your pay-per-click, but how much do you understand about what they're doing for you? How much guidance and direction do you give them?
As a business owner, you've got so many different things to juggle. Obviously, looking at the suppliers and look at the staff and all sorts of different areas. So sooner or later, you become so engrossed in that you've got to take a step back and then start actually either employing someone full time or actually using an agency. And I think that's also special, important for you know, your other types of advertising and sort of Facebook and Twitter. And I think it's important to get companies involved with that as well if you don't understand what you're doing, because it can just take up so much time and it'd be a wonderful waste of time as well. So companies like sort of Better Brand Agency, I know Mark's out there, and companies like that really helping to engage, and it just takes a lot of stress and time off you as a company owner.
Because I think one of the things we've talked about here is and we know ourselves, is, you know, everybody talks about content being king, but it's not always easy to. I mean, we've talked about If We Can, You Can as having loads of user-generated content. Well, actually, in the office, we don't call it user-generated content. We call it Hazel-generated content. For those of you who've had any dealings with Hazel, she's absolutely brilliant at it. How much of a drain can it be? And, you know, is it the sort of, could content take over your entire life and distract you from what the business actually is? Yeah,
I have to say, I mean, at the Centre for Women's, we're actually quite concerned about the demand now on small businesses. I mean, things have really moved on. I mean, a few years back, you could write a few good sentences and things would be okay. But as Derek said, really is becoming a broadcaster, and the demand on small businesses to become information creators around copy, photography, videos, and so on is of concern, because time is the biggest issue for small businesses. So we talk about information skills now at another centre as opposed to e-skills. It's no longer about using Microsoft Office, actually being someone that is almost keen of having their own online PR and marketing skill set within the organisation to actually accommodate the demand of your own customers, because again, customers go online to be entertained and to be essentially facing information that is enjoyable to use. So it's not getting easier, and that's a concern.
So it's still really important to share your passion, whatever your business is. And you do that online, like Pascal said, it's the experience that someone would have in a shop or coming into your office. Give them that experience online, share the passion online, create emotive hooks, tell stories. If it's about specific products, tell a story, and then share it offline, share it online through social media. Be a real person being passionate about your business, and find the channels through which to do that.
That kind of brings me on to the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is, again, content's one thing. It's the channel. What channel do you put that content through? How important is it to integrate not only all of a range of what people would describe as digital assets, but also working that in offline through a variety of other mechanisms? How do you bring those channels together?
You need to find out where your audience is hanging out. I mean, there's an awful lot of wasted messages going out that aren't targeted. So do some homework and find out what channels your audiences are accessing, and then interface with them in the ways that they choose to interface. Clearly, if you know that your audience is a bunch of Twitterati, then you're going to leverage Twitter as one of your main channels. But if you know that your audience all meets in one cafe, go down there and meet them face to face. I mean, this is the type of, it's just thinking about your audience, putting yourself in their shoes. Who do they interact with? Who do they talk to? How do they interact and speak? What language do they, what kind of conversational language do they speak? And get in there and sort of jump in that conversation, and it's research.
Absolutely, and there's nothing new in this. For centuries, going to Derek's presentation, what we've been doing as owner managers businesses is try and find a way to talk to our customers efficiently. So we try newspapers, radio, TV. All we're doing is following our customers where they go. And so even if it sounds a bit foreign to people, that's been going on for centuries. It's just that now customers have got a lot more control to set things off and create barriers and obstacles, of course. But that's why it's complicated, because it's complex. It's made of so many different things. And Derek is right. It would be so much easier just put a bit of money into one newspaper advertising and get sales coming through, as opposed to play with 20, 25 different instruments. Yeah.
And I think one of the key things is that comes across to me is always relevance. So, I'm sitting there wondering why that lady said, we're all things to all men as far as tights are concerned. I've never heard of UK tights. Likewise, I'm not big on hair extensions. So again, do you do anything offline as well as your online stuff?
We used to do a lot of magazine advertising in the trade magazines, and we just didn't get any response at all. So the thing I love about internet advertising is it's trackable, and you can see it from every step of the way, how it's working, where people are dropping off, where you can improve on, try this, A/B testing. So yeah, I mean it's really important, I think.